Please set your brains to even lower. Are they happy? As I present to you my TED Talk on why the Friends pilot episode predicted The Matrix. Here we go. The themes of The Matrix are waking from a dream, entering the real world, and the question, is Neo the one? They start this straight away with the opening scene where Neo is asleep and he wakes up and his computer says, "Wake up, Neo," and he's confused and he says,
"You ever have that feeling where you're not sure if you're awake or still dreaming?"
Friends starts with,
Alright, so I'm back in high school, standing in the middle of the cafeteria, and I realize I am totally naked. Oh, yeah.
So Friends starts with Chandler describing the dream, and I was like, oh, nice little coincidence. Then he says,
I look down and I realize there is a phone there. The phone starts to ring, and it turns out it's my mother.
Does anyone remember in The Matrix how they get out of the Matrix world to go into the real world? Phone, yes. So I was like, what a nice little coincidence. Then we get to entering the real world. The start of the film, Neo is very sad because he has a steady job, his own apartment, but the lighting in his office is fluorescent. I think that's the issue. You look back at all these 90s films now and you're like, sorry, what was the problem? What was wrong with your life? This is Morpheus explaining to Neo why he's always been sad.
You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there.
And this is Rachel explaining to her dad why she just ran out of the wedding.
It's like all of my life, everyone has always told me, you're a shoe. You're a shoe, you're a shoe, you're a shoe. And then today I just stopped and I said, what if I don't want to be a shoe? What if I want to be a purse?
So already we see that Rachel is Neo. They're both unhappy in the worlds they're in. And then Morpheus says, also, everything around you is a computer simulation. None of this is real. Then Neo takes the red pill, and this happens.
What does that mean?
It means buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy, because Kansas is going bye-bye.
And he wakes up in the real world to find out that humans actually all live in these pods of goo where evil AI robots are draining all our energy. It's all to turn humans into batteries when actually we're all just lifeless sacks of flesh living meaningless lives. I'm quoting my wedding vows again, I must stop. He says it's all very depressing, but as a byproduct, you can now bend time, dodge bullets, you can do amazing kung fu, move super fast and do awesome kung fu poses, and it's totally sweet. Apparently it's all an allegory for Plato's cave. If you're ever at a dinner party and you want to seem smart, just say, oh, it's a bit like Plato's cave. No one will be sure what you're saying, but they won't question it. In case if they do question it, just say something like, sounds like something Plato's cave would say, and they'll be like, oh, I'm dealing with an expert, I'll back up. A lot of prisoners grow up their whole lives in a cave where all they can see on the wall are shadow puppets that are being cast by the jailers behind them who they can't see, and they think that's the whole world, but then one of them gets out of the cave and sees there's a whole world out there, comes back in to tell them, but they don't believe him and they kill him. Then Neo takes the red pill and he wakes up in the real world where Morpheus says,
Welcome to the real world.
And he shows him that whenever they want to go back into the Matrix, they can go into kind of like a bridging world where they appear out of nowhere in this empty computer simulation that's like a loading program.
It's our loading program.
And then he shows him what the real world is actually now like.
This is the world that you know. This is the world as it exists today.
So he shows him the real world is apocalyptic and terrible. This is the Friends convincing Rachel to leave the world she was in by cutting her credit cards that tie her to her father.
Welcome to the real world.
So Monica is Morpheus, ushering Neo into the real world and explaining that it's We get to the question, is Neo the one? He starts his training, he learns how to dodge bullets, do kung fu. Rachel starts her training.
I'm gonna go get one of those job things.
They're on parallel journeys, and then Neo goes to the Oracle to find out if he's the one. First he meets this little boy.
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Teaches him a lesson about a spoon, and then the Oracle says,
I'm not the one.
Sorry, kid. take a cookie.
But if you watch enough YouTube videos, you'll find out that in that cookie there's a code that will later convince him he's the chosen one. Meanwhile, Ross is with the fellas debating the concept, is there such a thing as the one romantically?
What if there's only one woman for everybody? What are you talking about? That's like saying there's only one flavor of ice cream for you. There's lots of flavors out there. Welcome back to the world. Grab a spoon.
So, Joey's the little boy with the spoon. Then who is the oracle?
I just feel like someone reached down my throat, grabbed my small intestine, pulled it out of my mouth, and tied it around my neck. Cookie?
So Chandler is the oracle. Neo's apartment is room 101, and they said that's a reference to the fact that Neo is the one. I'm also working on my own theory that there is a clue in the name Neo about him. Don't know spoilers. I think it's to do with neoliberalism and the focus on the individual. No, James? Okay. Then we get to this man who has made a YouTube video for every single minute of The Matrix. He says that 101 is actually a reference to binary code, the computer code that's all ones and zeros that the Matrix world is written in on computers. And as we all know, 101 in binary is 5, but in binary it starts at 0, so 5 is actually 6, and that's clearly a reference to the fact that Neo is the 6th incarnation of the 1, so Neo actually equals 6 equals 5 equals 101. It's definitely what the directors intended. It's not a coincidence. And I've always said, if you're not learning binary code before you go to the cinema on a Saturday night, you're not a proper moviegoer, so shame on you. So the apartment is 101, which is 5 in binary. It's not like the friend's apartment door is going to be 101. That would be a bit on the nose. Because it's 5. But only in the pilot episode. In all the other episodes, it's like 22, because it's only the pilot episode that is predicting the Matrix. They wanted to make that a clear delineation. Neo is the 6th chosen one. Rachel's arrival makes her the 6th friend. It's all falling into place. Every Friends episode begins with the one. The one with the card, the one with the boobies. Apart from the pilot episode, it's the exception that proves the rule. Thank you, yes. What did Matt LeBlanc work on before Friends? A show called TV 101. Layla, how many TV shows do you think have been made in the world? No, just no wrong. Ever. No wrong answers. A billion? Oh, yeah, I like that. I Googled it. 817,000. That's how many in the whole world up until now. So what are the odds that the one TV show they put in the background would be the one that the Wachowski sisters would later direct? That is it. Thank you. Waking from a Dream. What did the producers of Friends work on before Friends? A show called Dream On. You just need to keep Googling for like 8 months and you find these connections. But I've never seen this many coincidences. I wonder where the cafe in Friends is, Central Perk, in real life. Googled it, it came up with Lafayette Street. What? The Lafayette Hotel is used by Morpheus and his group. It's where Neo takes the red pill, and that's where Rachel metaphorically takes the... What? I sent this evidence to another comedian, Helen Bauer, who had seen a preview of this show. And I sent that evidence to her, and she just wrote back, honestly, Heidi, this is more than comedy. Yes, the people need to know. What about Cipher, the villain who wants to go back into the Matrix and doesn't care about the AI gods? What's his name when he's in the Matrix?
I don't remember nothing.
Whatever you want, Mr. Reagan.
He's me! I fell off my chair. I had already written my Ronald Reagan joke. I was already called Heidi Reagan. I didn't change my name because of this. I want you to know that. I'll get my birth certificate. And then we get to the end. Is Neo the one? I just want you to know, by the way, I have cut about 10 minutes of evidence from this because audiences were tiring. But we get to the end. Neo, spoiler, he gets shot by the agents and he dies. And then Trinity says to him, the Oracle told me I would fall in love and that man would be the one, so you can't be dead. And she kisses him and he comes awake and becomes the one. Meanwhile, Ross, who I think we all understand now is Trinity, yes. Ross/Trinity has built up the courage finally to tell Rachel how he feels because he now believes that she is the one.
But do you think it would be okay if I asked you out sometime, maybe?
But what gave him the courage to do that? seconds earlier,
No.
sorry.
Oh, no, go.
they shared a cookie, guys! It had the code from the Oracle in it to convince them that... What? Don't make me Google the odds of cookies. I don't know. Then Rachel's completed her training and got a job. She's now the one. And Chandler says in the final scene...
Kids, new dream. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm Liza Minnelli.
So, if you haven't pieced it together, in the opening scene, Chandler said, I had a dream, my penis was a phone, I answered it, it was my mother. Who is Liza Minnelli's mother? Judy Garland. What film is she most famous for? The Wizard of Oz. So what does that mean?
It means buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy.
That is when I decided to do Edinburgh. And if you're not fully convinced, but I feel like you all believe, let's do a final check and look at the opening credits to Friends. It's the opening credits, as you know, is before every episode of this sitcom, before they go into that dream world. I would call it kind of the loading program, where they kind of go into before everything. So the credits, as they begin, they all appear out of nowhere like computer simulations, and also like Neo has appeared out of nowhere in the loading program where he went with Morpheus to discuss on a couch. I'm sorry, is that not the same couch? They try to act like humans, but they don't know they're computer simulations. They're disorientated, they're just imitating human life. They try to do kung fu like Neo, but they're just floating in pots of goo. None of this is real. They try to bend time like Neo does with bullet time. They try to wake themselves up from the dream like they do in the prequel, but it doesn't work. They mock his efforts to leave the dream, and then they all end on a pose, which I'm sure you will remember from earlier. And then they sit on the couch ready to look at the real world like Neo did when he faced the reality, but they're not ready. They turn their backs and look at a wall of shadows. It's Plato's cave. Where is the Thank you.